How does a player go from being called the steal of the draft to having less trade value than a rookie who averages less than 1 point per game in less than 12 months? How does a young sharpshooter who made every NBA team look foolish for passing on him suddenly find himself on the trading block, his value plummeting faster than a brick thrown from the Staples Center roof? Welcome to the brutal, unforgiving reality of being a young player on a win-now team. Welcome to the Dalton Knecht experience in Los Angeles, a cautionary tale about expectations, opportunity, and the merciless ticking clock of LeBron James' championship window. Just 1 year ago, Dalton Knecht was the feel-good story of the 2024 NBA draft. The Tennessee standout, who torched college defenses with his elite shooting and scoring ability, somehow slipped all the way to pick 17, where the Lakers snatched him up like they'd just found a $100 bill on the sidewalk. Lakers fans were ecstatic. The front office was celebrating. Analysts were scratching their heads, wondering how 16 teams passed on this kid. Fast forward to today, and we're having a completely different conversation. According to The Athletic's Jovan Buha, on the latest episode of Buha's Block, Knecht's trade value has sunk so low that Adou Thiero, rookie who has played just 11 career games and averages less than 1 point per game, might actually have more trade value right now. Let that sink in for a moment. A player who was supposed to be a cornerstone piece, a future starter, maybe even an all-star down the line, now has less perceived value than a deep bench rookie who barely sees the floor. How did we get here? And more importantly, what does this say about the Lakers' championship desperation and their treatment of young talent? To understand the magnitude of this fall, we need to rewind to where it all began. Dalton Knecht wasn't just any draft pick. He was supposed to be the draft pick that saved the Lakers' future. Coming out of Tennessee, Knecht was a 23-year-old older rookie with a polished defensive game, elite shooting mechanics, and the kind of scoring instincts that can't be taught. In his early games as a Laker, Knecht flashed exactly what the front office hoped for. He knocked down open threes with confidence. He attacked closeouts aggressively. He showed the kind of offensive versatility that made him look like a perfect complement to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. There were games where he looked like a legitimate rotation piece on a championship contender, and Lakers fans started dreaming about what he could become with a full offseason of development. The narrative was perfect. The Lakers, a franchise notorious for trading away young talent and draft picks in pursuit of stars, had finally hit on a late first-round gem. Knecht was going to be different. He was going to be the homegrown success story that proved the Lakers could develop talent while competing for championships. Except that's not what happened. We can't talk about Knecht's fall without addressing the elephant in the room, the infamous rescinded trade. While the exact details remain murky, the psychological impact on Knecht was undeniable. Imagine being a rookie, trying to establish yourself in the league, and suddenly finding out your team almost traded you. The message is clear: you're expendable. You're not part of the long-term plan. You're a trade chip, not a building block. That kind of experience changes a player's mindset. The confidence takes a hit. The trust in the organization erodes. And for a shooter like Knecht, whose entire game is built on rhythm and confidence, that mental blow can be devastating. But let's be honest, the rescinded trade isn't the only reason Knecht's value has cratered. The bigger issue is what's happened on the court since then. His offense has come in streaks. Some nights, he looks like the player the Lakers drafted. Other nights, he disappears completely. And in the modern NBA, especially on a team with championship aspirations, inconsistency is a death sentence for young players. Here's where we get to the heart of the problem. And it's the same issue that plagues so many young offensive-minded players in today's NBA defense. When Knecht's shot isn't falling, there simply isn't enough defensive reliability to justify keeping him on the floor. And in a league that increasingly values two-way versatility, being a one-dimensional offensive player, especially an inconsistent one, is a recipe for riding the bench. This is where the comparison to Adou Thiero becomes painfully clear. Thiero has played just 11 games and averages less than 1 point per game, but in those limited minutes, he's flashed something that NBA teams desperately covet: defensive versatility. His athleticism allows him to guard multiple positions. His length and quickness give coaches something tangible to work with in playoff settings. He can switch on pick and rolls. He can recover on rotations. He can run the floor in transition. From a pure trade perspective, that archetype is infinitely easier to plug into another roster. Every contending team needs switchable defenders who can guard wings and forwards. Not every team needs another streaky shooter who requires touches and rhythm to be effective. That's the harsh reality Knecht is facing. Buha's assessment isn't an indictment of Knecht's talent. It's a reflection of what the Lakers value right now and what the broader trade market prioritizes. Teams building for the future might still see upside in Knecht's shooting ability, but teams trying to win now, they want the defensive versatility that Thiero provides, even if it comes with virtually zero offensive production at this stage. Let's zoom out and examine the broader context of why Knecht's situation has deteriorated so rapidly. The Los Angeles Lakers are not a normal NBA franchise. They're not the Oklahoma City Thunder, patiently developing young talent while accumulating assets. They're not the San Antonio Spurs, building a sustainable winner through draft and develop. The Lakers are a win-now organization with a 40-year-old LeBron James and a championship window that's slamming shut in real time. In that environment, patience is a luxury the Lakers simply cannot afford. Young players are judged harshly and quickly. If you're not contributing to winning immediately, you're expendable. It doesn't matter if you were the 17th pick in the draft. It doesn't matter if you showed flashes of brilliance in your first few months. If you can't help LeBron win his 5th ring right now, you're trade bait. This is the brutal lesson Knecht is learning in real time. His development timeline doesn't match up with what the Lakers currently need. They need proven defenders who can guard elite wings in the playoffs. They need players who can contribute consistently on both ends of the floor. They need veterans who understand championship-level basketball. What they don't need is a 23-year-old rookie who's still figuring out how to defend at an NBA level while his shot comes and goes in waves. The pressure on the Lakers front office is immense. Rob Pelinka knows that every decision he makes is being scrutinized through the lens of LeBron's remaining years. Trading away future assets for win-now pieces is the only strategy that makes sense in this context. And if that means moving Knecht for a player who can help immediately, even if that player has less long-term upside, then that's what they'll do. Here's an uncomfortable truth about the NBA trade market. Shooters who need rhythm and touches are harder to sell than defenders who can guard multiple positions and run the floor. It's counterintuitive, right? We live in an era where three-point shooting is more valuable than ever. Teams are launching threes at historic rates. Spacing the floor is considered essential to modern offense. So, why isn't Knecht's shooting ability translating into higher trade value? The answer lies in the difference between theoretical value and practical application. Yes, shooting is valuable, but consistent, reliable shooting is what teams actually want. And Knecht hasn't proven he can provide that yet. His offense comes in streaks, which means coaches can't trust him in high-leverage playoff situations where every possession matters. Compare that to a defensive specialist like Thiero. Even in limited minutes, he's shown he can execute a defined role. Guard your man, switch when needed, run the floor, don't make mistakes. That's a plug-and-play skill set that works in any system. Knecht's skill set, by contrast, requires the right system, the right touches, the right rhythm. It's higher maintenance, and in a trade market where teams are looking for low-risk additions, higher maintenance equals lower value. This is also why players like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III, who the Lakers have been desperately pursuing, command such high asking prices. They're not just defenders or shooters, they're elite at both. They don't need the ball to be effective. They can guard multiple positions. They fit seamlessly into any roster construction. That's the gold standard in today's NBA, and Knecht, despite his offensive talent, simply doesn't meet that standard yet. Let's dig deeper into this comparison because it's the most jarring aspect of Buha's reporting. Adou Thiero has played 11 career games. He averages less than 1 point per game. By traditional metrics, he's barely an NBA player at this point. And yet, according to one of the most plugged-in Lakers reporters, he might have more trade value than Dalton Knecht right now. How is that possible? It comes down to potential versus production, and more specifically, the type of potential that teams value. Thiero's potential is as a defensive stopper, a 3 and D wing who can guard the opponent's best perimeter player while spacing the floor on offense. That archetype is so valuable in today's NBA that teams are willing to bet on the potential even when the production isn't there yet. Knecht's potential, by contrast, is as a high-volume scorer and elite shooter. That's valuable too, but it requires a specific role and specific opportunities to flourish. He needs to be a primary or secondary option on offense. He needs plays run for him. He needs the ball in his hands to create rhythm. For a contending team with established stars, that's a much harder fit. Think about it from another team's perspective. If you're a playoff-bound squad looking to add depth, would you rather have a young defender who can give you quality minutes guarding the opponent's best wing, or a young shooter who might go 0 for 6 one night and 6 for 8 the next? The answer is obvious. You want reliability, and right now, Thiero's defensive potential feels more reliable than Knecht's offensive inconsistency. This doesn't mean Knecht can't become a productive NBA player. It doesn't mean he won't eventually figure out the defensive side and become more consistent offensively. But it does mean that his current trade value is at rock bottom, and the Lakers are in a position where they might have to move him for pennies on the dollar if they want to acquire a win-now piece. Here's the thing that Lakers fans need to understand. Getting traded might actually be the best thing that could happen to Dalton Knecht's career. Seriously, hear me out. The Lakers are a pressure cooker. Every game is scrutinized. Every mistake is magnified. Every young player is judged against the impossible standard of, can you help LeBron win a championship right now? That's not an environment conducive to development. That's not a place where a 23-year-old rookie can work through his defensive struggles and find his offensive rhythm without constant criticism and benching. A trade to a rebuilding team, somewhere like the Portland Trail Blazers, the San Antonio Spurs, or even the Charlotte Hornets, could give Knecht exactly what he needs: minutes, patience, and a defined role. On a team that's not desperately chasing a championship, Knecht could get 25 to 30 minutes per game to work on his craft. He could shoot through his slumps without being yanked after one missed rotation. He could develop the defensive fundamentals that he's clearly lacking right now. Look at what happened to players like Jordan Clarkson or Larry Nance Jr. after they left the Lakers. Both found success in different environments where the expectations were different and the roles were clearer. Clarkson became a sixth man of the year. Nance became a valuable role player on multiple playoff teams. Neither of those outcomes seemed likely when they were struggling to find consistent minutes in Los Angeles. The same could be true for Knecht. A change of scenery might unlock the player the Lakers thought they were drafting. And if that happens, it'll be another example of the Lakers' win-now mentality costing them a young talent who could have been part of their future. This situation perfectly encapsulates the impossible position the Lakers find themselves in. They're trying to compete for championships while also developing young talent, and those two goals are fundamentally at odds with each other. You can't give young players the minutes and patience they need to develop when every game matters for playoff seeding. You can't afford to let a rookie work through defensive mistakes when LeBron James is 40 years old and every season might be his last. The Lakers have chosen their path. They're all in on winning now. That means young players like Knecht and Thiero are viewed primarily as trade assets rather than long-term building blocks. It's a cold, calculated approach, but it's the only one that makes sense given the franchise's current reality. But here's the uncomfortable question. What happens when LeBron retires and the Lakers are left with no young talent, no draft picks, and no pathway to rebuilding? What happens when Anthony Davis is 33 or 34 and dealing with injuries, and there's no next generation of Lakers ready to take over? That's the long-term cost of this win-now strategy, and it's a bill that will eventually come due. Let's not sugarcoat this. Based on Buha's reporting and the current trajectory, it looks like Dalton Knecht's time as a Laker is coming to an end. Whether it happens before the February 5th trade deadline or in the offseason, the writing is on the wall. The Lakers need to upgrade their roster to maximize LeBron's final years, and Knecht is one of the few tradable assets they have. The saddest part? Knecht never really got a fair chance to prove himself. He was drafted into an impossible situation, a team with championship expectations and zero patience for development. He dealt with the psychological blow of nearly being traded. He struggled to find consistent minutes in a rotation that prioritizes veterans. And now, less than a year after being called a draft steal, he's being shopped around the league with depressed trade value. It's a reminder of how quickly things can change in the NBA. One day, you're the future. The next day, you're expendable. One day, you're the steal of the draft. The next day, you have less trade value than a rookie who barely plays. That's the brutal, unforgiving nature of this league, especially when you're playing for a franchise as impatient as the Lakers. The Dalton Knecht saga is a cautionary tale on multiple levels. For young players, it's a reminder that being drafted by a contender isn't always the blessing it seems. Development requires patience, and contenders don't have patience. For win-now teams, it's a reminder that burning through young talent in pursuit of championships has long-term consequences. And for Lakers fans, it's a painful illustration of the cost of chasing LeBron's final rings. Knecht's value has never been lower, but his career is far from over. Wherever he lands next, he'll have an opportunity to prove that the Lakers gave up on him too soon. And if he becomes a productive player elsewhere, which seems entirely possible, it'll be yet another example of the Lakers' win-now mentality costing them a piece of their future. For now, all we can do is watch and wait. The trade deadline is approaching. The Lakers are desperate for upgrades. And Dalton Knecht, the player who was supposed to be a steal, has become just another chip to be cashed in for one more shot at glory. If this situation frustrates you as much as it does me, if you think the Lakers are making a mistake by giving up on Knecht so quickly, let me know in the comments below. Is this just the harsh reality of competing with LeBron, or are the Lakers mismanaging another young talent? Drop your thoughts, because this story is far from over, and the consequences of these decisions will echo for years to come.